morning and welcome to my channel, Forever Altered, where I discuss what it's like to be in a long-term relationship with a NARC, with someone who has narcissistic personality disorder or high narcissistic traits. My NARC hasn't actually been diagnosed, but I've discussed with several therapists who do see and agree that is probably exactly what he is. If you are in a similar situation, I'm sure you, as well as me, as I'm sure you reacted the same way I did, and that was I was devastated when I put the connection together as to what he was, because it became apparent to me that there was nothing that could be done to change the outcome or to change him or to make the situation better. We have been in therapy for a while now. We were placed with a very young therapist, and I expressed my concerns early on because she is actually a therapist that is a couples counselor, and so they ended up placing him with a more experienced older man who has dealt with issues more like what he has. So far he hasn't actually said that he has any of these issues. It's me bringing it up. That's part of the problem of getting a narcissist or a person with narcissistic traits diagnosed. It's rare that they're going to go in and say, I'm doing all these things. They don't perceive any of the issues as theirs. So, I wonder how they could ever be diagnosed, especially considering the fact that they lie, spin the story. It's never their fault. They don't take responsibility. So I don't even understand how a therapist could diagnose. And I think that's the reason why there's so much heartache involved in people that try to go to therapy to get help if they're with someone that has NPD, because I think we hear about it a lot, but to actually have diagnostic proof on someone is a whole different story. So I think a lot of your run-of-the-mill therapists that you would find, in your hometown, they're not going to have ever dealt with someone like that. I know for my own situation, I worked in mental health for almost 10 years. I did not do diagnosing someone, obviously, because I'm not a therapist, but I do have a master's degree, and I did do treatment plans, and I was in charge of reading the DSMV and, figuring out what their behaviors and symptoms were, and notifying the therapist when I thought something might have changed and another diagnosis fit better. So I'm no dummy to the process, and I have read the DSMV numerous times in regards to narcissistic personality disorder and cluster B disorders, and I'm pretty sure I know what I'm looking at. But anyway, my question is, how is everybody doing in this quarantine time if you're stuck with a NARC, if you're locked down with a NARC? And I don't get on here to make videos very often anymore because I have been very, very busy with my work and homeschooling my daughter. She's just in kindergarten, but we're doing Connections Academy, which is a very good program. And so I'm split in many ways, and I tend to like to stay super busy, and I think it helps me to disassociate myself from the NARC. I don't know if that's worded right, but it gives me something else to focus on. So anyway, this is kind of like a perfect storm if you are stuck at home with a NARC. My narcissist he's very hypersensitive, and he has a lot of paranoia and anxiety and a lot of antisocial personality traits. His father was schizophrenic, and I don't know if maybe he has a touch of that too, if that's something else that's coming into play, which I'm trying so hard to get some diagnosis through his therapist, but I don't know if that'll ever come. But anyway, the idea of where the world is going and the fact that we have to segregate ourselves from society right now is playing right into his plan, so to speak. He has tried to do that for years as it is. He doesn't like anybody. He doesn't like people. He doesn't like people that are close to me. He doesn't like people that aren't close to me. He doesn't like the neighbors. He doesn't like the people he meets on the street when he's driving. Everyone's out to get him. Everyone's jealous of him. Everyone's got, has done something deliberate, like come too far to the center of the road when he's driving, and they did it on purpose because they want the car he's driving or some whatever thing he thinks in his head. So the fact that I and my daughter must remain away from my support system, at least physically, and that I can't just, have my aunt drop over for a chat or take my daughter to my mom's for a few hours so that she can, see her grandma, or that my daughter can come over and have coffee with me in the morning. It's killing me, but it's playing right into his hands. It's to the point now where if my daughter comes to drop something off at my house and he, sees that she was even in the driveway, he's coming back and spraying Lysol everywhere and angry at me. He's actually said in numerous occasions when I've had to go out to the store, and even though I've worn a mask and gloves and, tried to protect myself, he's actually said to me that he thinks I'm trying to kill him, that's the reason why I went to the store to get whatever, because I'm trying to bring back the virus to kill him. So I suspect that a lot of people in the same situation as I'm in are dealing with the same type of things. How are we dealing with it? Because I'm asking myself, well, what about me in all of this? What about me? I have my own opinions and feelings about everything. I'm being safe. I'm doing everything I can do to be responsible, socially responsible for myself, my family, and the people I come in contact with. And I'm 54 years old, and I should be. I've made it this far based on my choices in life, and I think I'm smart enough to make good choices through this situation, at least as good as anyone can. But I'm constantly being told I'm the weak link. I'm the one that's going to bring the virus back. And, I don't even care about him or anyone and all of these things. So I suspect that, everyone is in the same boat. And I was just thinking about what are we doing to protect ourselves emotionally from, the concentrated effort of narcissism in our face and controlling our every thought and move under these the lockdowns that we're all under. So how I'm handling it is I'm trying to use the gray rock method as much as possible. I've decided that this is not the time to stand my ground. It is not the time to argue back or need to prove myself, which that never happens anyway. You can talk till you're blue in the face, and a NARC is not going to go, oh, I get it now. I'm so sorry. I understand you completely. No, you're wasting your breath. And so this time of all times, it is not the time to engage in, right fighting. I think Dr. Phil calls it. It's not the time to push their buttons. There will be time for that later, maybe, but right now you could just go insane if you try to, prove yourself or straighten out their way of thinking or anything like that. So the main thing you need to do right now is to stay away as much as possible. If they're in a decent mood, sit in the room and watch TV. If you see it going downhill, which I had happen last night, he's extremely hypersensitive right now. He actually got shingles. I believe he got it from the stress of this virus because his mind is working overtime, thinking that he has to protect himself and us from this virus. So, he's concerned about the doors being locked, and he actually got an extra lock to put on the door, like a ridiculous big heavy thing that goes across the door, because he is foreseeing people breaking into the house to get your supplies and your food and all of these things, and that's where the paranoia comes in with him. But anyway, back on track. I just, when I see it going downhill and I see the personality change and I see him come at me with, like, for instance, last night it was he jumped on me for something and it was completely unfounded, and I just said, I didn't mean it like that, and he got real crappy back, and I just got up and walked off. And so I ended up staying in the bedroom watching movies with my daughter, and till we fell asleep. And I'm going to continue doing that. I'm going to continue going to the other room, doing dishes, cleaning maybe some stuff that I haven't cleaned in a while, anything to keep myself busy and to keep distanced from that constant, negativity of being around a NARC. I don't want to engage because I don't want to hear his normal comments. The other day he got mad at me for something, and the reasons blend together after a while, but he said that I was ugly on the inside and the outside. And so, as soon as they're angry at you, boom, you're the worst person in the world. You are hated, and you can see it come over their face. They hate you. So I'd love to know how everyone's doing. I didn't want to make a long video just because there's not a lot to say, except that I think everyone's going crazy being stuck with a narcissist in your home. And we all have our reasons why we're still there. I've talked to many people that have been in relationships, and I say that because I know it's not a real relationship, but for many years. And for me, the main reason that I'm even still in the situation, if he would leave my home, that would be the end of it. But I have a daughter that we have to raise together, and I think it would be worse if I was co-parenting with him and I had to send her to him or his house, or him and his new supplies, quote, house, if we weren't under the same roof. So I honestly think that would be worse than this. At least with this case, I can, distance myself. I have a big house. I have an office that I can go to that sits behind my house. I have places to go to create distance. So that would be my advice. Create distance, gray rock, don't engage, do not fight, do not fight. Leave the room, go do some chores that you've been putting off, go through your clothes, mop your floors, anything, rearrange your pantry, move your furniture around in some room, anything you can to create distance and to give yourself some reprieve from the effects of the NARC. So I guess that's it. Take care. If you have at least enjoyed listening to someone else's suffering, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. It might encourage me to make more videos if I know that they're being helpful to somebody. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you on the other side of this coronavirus situation.